Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 20 of He Said, She Said. I'm your host, Sierra.
And I'm Eric. So, it's episode 20. You all know what that means. More conspiracy theories.
Yay! Which I kind of feel like today's not a conspiracy.
Yeah, there's a lot of facts behind what we have today, but, we're going to play around with it a little bit. We're going to throw some conspiracies of our own out there, and we're also going to look into some conspiracies that are just floating around. So, we're going to be talking about something that I feel is pretty relevant, and that is farms and farmland. This was actually a listener-suggested topic for conspiracies, and we're pretty excited to touch on it because there's really so much going on.
Yeah, and again, this is something I said a long time ago. I was like, babe, don't you think this is weird? You're like, whatever. Get out of here with your conspiracy theories. I'm like, no, it's weird.
Yeah.
But this was like... Was this right when the election started, or right after Biden got in office? I think it was right after Biden. You
kept talking about the food shortage stuff?
No, like how foreign countries were buying up all the land and stuff.
Oh.
But before we get started today, I wanted to mention one of my earthly products that I enjoy, which is Nourish Her Naturally. And it's a great earthly product formulated specifically for women. It's a natural multivitamin made to fortify, improve, and nurture the female body. It is formulated with, again, all natural ingredients, packed with vitamins and minerals to help balance hormones, boost energy levels, and promote overall wellness. And I recently started taking this this past week, and I love it. I started taking it mostly because my hair is falling out. Don't know if that's a postpartum thing or a post-COVID thing, but it's actually just in this past week, I feel like I've seen a difference. I know that sounds crazy, but my hair's not coming out
if it's
much.
A postpartum thing and this is something that helps balance your hormones, then I can definitely see it helping.
Yep, already. So, But to find this earthly product and all the other great products that we have recommended, just click the link in our Instagram bio.
Yeah. So, rolling into this topic here, it gets really interesting. I'm not one that's huge into conspiracies, but again, there's just a lot going up here, and it really just doesn't add up. So, concerning land and surveys, the most recent data that we have is a recent survey conducted, which was 2020. So, I would consider these numbers to have increased since then. So, in 2020, it was reported that 37.6 million acres, equivalent to about 2.9% of the total ranch, farm, and forest lands, were under foreign ownership. When I say they're under foreign ownership, I mean they're not owned by a U.S. resident or company. So these are completely foreign-owned lands. So this number is up from the 22.7 million acres that was owned just 10 years prior. So they've increased this by almost 15 million acres in under 10 years.
And did it say where this is at? What?
No, it's nationwide, right? So China alone holds over $2 billion with a B dollars worth of U.S. agricultural land. I know this only equates out to about 191,000 acres, but that's still a huge deal.
That is a lot.
For a foreign entity, in my opinion, anyways.
Yeah, and what's the point of that?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is it just a Chinese firm that is holding it as an investment, which, that's totally plausible, but...
Yeah, so say you wanted to buy that land, would you have to go...
You'd have to buy it from the Chinese firm.
That's freaking crazy.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And it could be hugely detrimental because there's only so much land. I think in total it's 897 million acres, and I know, when we say that, it sounds like a lot, but
that's already used up land too.
And this number decreases every year. So Sierra, I know this probably hits home a little bit for you. You were born in Indiana and you have family that's highly involved in agriculture and farming. So how do you feel about this? What are your thoughts, and why do you think foreign entities are buying up so much U.S. land?
So like you said, I was born and raised in Indiana, pretty involved in agriculture, 4-H, FFA, we raised pigs, and my brother now has lots of cattle and goats, and then my family we don't have it anymore, but my family, my dad's side of the family had a pretty large pig farm.
Yeah.
But now...
They used to own a huge amount of land, right?
I think they still do, because remember I said now they're growing cannabis?
Yeah, they're growing hemp.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they had even more, obviously, way back when your grandfather and grandmother first got together and were in Franklin.
Yep. And so my dad would always tell me stories about how his grandpa would want to sell the land and all this stuff, and then eventually my great-grandma was like, no, we're not doing it anymore. And then all of a sudden it turned into something big, like a bank or a school district. And I guess my dad said that his grandpa was like, see, told you. Like, we could have made. But,
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, like, it goes way back pretty far in my family. But and it's sad to see, like, when we go home, I still call it home.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to call it home forever.
Yeah. But so, like, when we go home to Franklin and I see all these warehouses popping up, like, out where I grew up. So there is, like, a little city-ish version of Franklin, like downtown Franklin where Franklin College is. But we're technically on the outskirts of city limits. So, yes, our address was Franklin, but, like, we never got pizza delivery. We never got cable, like, nothing.
Yeah, I remember, like, when we first met and you were telling me all these things, I'm like, you had to drive for everything. It's like, you couldn't have anything delivered to your house. Nope. The school bus didn't make it out there. You had to pay for a private, like, trash pickup and mail service. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah, and then, like, our mail service, it was just some random car. Like, it was mail workers, but, like, it wasn't, like, it wasn't a
USPS truck.
Yeah, like, they used a junky car, and, like, they had it stamped, like, the sign, and they had, like, a little blinker on the top. And we did have school buses come out. It was just one. We had one school bus for, like, elementary, middle, and high school.
Wow.
Yeah, and it wasn't even full, but but yeah, so we lived out of city limits, and it was quiet and nice, and there's fields everywhere. Yeah. And you rotate crop, obviously. So, you know, either one year you're surrounded by cornfields, or the next year it's beans. And
yeah, because those were the two major crops that you had out by you, were the corn and the soybeans. Yeah,
so corn and soybeans, but, you know, my big thing, too, is, like, all the natural big trees. I love that, because here there's, like, none.
Yeah, there's absolutely none in our neighborhood, but, you know, if you can go outside of the neighborhood, you can at least find some.
Yeah, but now it's, like, when we were there, what was it, July?
Yeah.
So, we were there in July, and it's, like, the farmland that's directly behind my parents' house is now bought up by... Honestly, I don't even remember who they said it was, but it's just turning into big factories. Yeah. So you worked at one, the Energizer plant that you worked at for a while, it used to be farmland. And we used to know the people that owned it, and the people that just sold that farmland right across from Energizer, and we know them too. And it's like, they get offered so much money, it's almost like crap.
Yeah, I mean, it gets to a point where it's hard to say no. You know, a lot of these people are a little bit older, you know, they might not have future generations to take over, and you know, when somebody puts money in front of you, it's hard to say no to it.
Yep, especially when you think of, you know, I'm sure there are lots of wealthy farmers and old money out there.
Yeah, I like how you always say that.
Yeah,
old money.
It's true, but you know, money can talk. So yeah. But so something else to note about the foreign land ownership is that some organizations have super complex organizational structure, and this data may not even be accurate. With loopholes and corruption, it's likely that foreign entities own a lot more than what's being reported.
Yeah, I mean, so it can get crazy, right? You know, these organizations, these foreign entities, they could buy U.S. companies, or they could just kind of get their foot in there, and then they can build all these back doors, they can do everything. So it's really hard to track them, and there's a really good, I would say a 99% chance that we don't have all that data.
So. Oh, I'm sure that we don't.
Yeah.
And I also think it's weird that Bill Gates is now the largest private farmland owner in the U.S., owning 269,000 acres across multiple different states.
Yeah, and so that's just wild, because he owns more land than China owns.
Yeah, so what's he doing with that? And he's sketchy too.
He is. And you know, I've looked into this a little bit, and from what him and his, I guess, ex-wife now say, is that they bought it purely as an investment opportunity.
All right, so like I said, a lot of the farmland behind my parents' house has recently been sold to corporations that build massive warehouses and plants.
Yeah, so like I said, we were just there in July, and we didn't stay, right by the plant that I was working at. We stayed, I think, 10 miles up the interstate. And even then, it's just crazy to see how much they're building right off the interstate that used to be farmland. There was, I think, 5 warehouses going up right there, on the way back to our hotel. And they're all going up at the same time.
Yeah.
And then they say that they've still got all this empty space too. So there's no slowing down either.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yep.
But with the population of people increasing and the agricultural land decreasing, it's extremely likely that the U.S. is going to run out of farmland. And there will be food shortages.
Yeah, you've been saying food shortages for a while. I had no clue about any food shortage news. Yeah. And because, I was watching the news in the mornings when I was on travel for work, and you'd be like, yeah, they're talking about food shortages. I'm like, I have not heard anything.
Well, and just like you joked to me about the formula, and thank God I stocked up on that, because we would have been right in the middle of that.
Yep.
But also, not just the factories and stuff, but all these houses. I honestly, I really don't like living in Katy. I mean, there's just so many housing additions that just keep popping up. And it just, kills my insides to see. I'm like, why?
There's developments that are going up every day. It's crazy. And it's the new development right behind where we live, that's going up. And then we thought, okay, that'll be it. Nope. There's apartment complexes right behind that new development that are already starting to go up. There's going to be an HEB put up right across from the apartment complexes. It's crazy. So, I mean, the population keeps increasing. The agricultural land keeps decreasing. And it's going to be an issue eventually.
Yeah. And so I kind of wonder if, these factories that they're putting up, that they are saying, oh, this one's a battery factory, this one's an Amazon, this one's an Ulta, because I'm just naming off the ones that are near Franklin.
Right.
But it's once there's no farmland left, they're going to have to turn that into a food manufacturer, because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make all the food in a freaking factory.
So, and when you say that, do you mean it's going to be lab grown food?
Yeah. And that's what they're trying to do. That's what your brother said. Because he goes, I was like, that's not real food. He's like, what do you mean it's not real food? I'm like, it's not real. Because he was talking about the meat that they're going to try and put in there. I'm like, how is that real? But it's because it's DNA mutation.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I've seen it.
Or whatever.
I've heard about it, and it has the same DNA structure as normal meat. So it's crazy what they can do in a lab. Yeah,
but that's still not right. And even your mom said last week, she's like, when is the last time that we've left a restaurant and was like, wow, that was a great meal. I cannot wait to go back. That was wonderful. I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's because they're slowly doing this stuff, almost like dog food, when you switch your dog's food, you have to mix it. So I wonder if that's what they're doing. They're like, oh, here.
Maybe.
So no, we don't all get sick or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, also a little crazy that Bill Gates is the one owning all of this land, and he is one of the people that is highly invested into lab growing factory food.
Yeah, I mean, he does have some share in all of this, and maybe he's
and the COVID shot.
And maybe he's just buying up this land to prevent agricultural development, so he can promote, his
future
food.
Investments.
Yeah.
God, he's such a snake. But yeah, I just think that's a little sketchy.
Yeah, and then you were talking about this last night. I think this is kind of weird, but
yeah, I can't remember. And I called my brother on this because I asked him, should I call my brother? And you were like, no, don't call him. I'm like, I'm calling him.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what state it was. I want to say it was either Wisconsin or Minnesota, and they are trying to pass a law that makes it illegal to artificially inseminate your animals. So if you don't know what that is, you can. We've done it. My family did it our whole life, and it's not. They're trying to say that it's abuse to the animal. There's no abuse. It's quick, it is what it is, and it's just. And I think that's because they're trying to
control how much we can produce.
Yeah, and control the, reproduction of animals. And that way, if we can't do it and say that the animal can't get pregnant from
natural.
Yeah, then, oops, guess we have to do it in a lab now.
Yeah. And what's the purpose of that, when it comes to farming? Is it just to produce higher yields of the animals? Is it to...
It's not like a purebred situation. It's just like it's easier, more cost effective.
Okay. Less timely.
Yeah, and sometimes, so let's just say a pig, for example, sometimes you won't have access to, they're called, I'll just say male pig.
Yeah.
Won't get into like technical terms or anything, but so you don't have access to a male pig, and sometimes it is hard if your female pig is bigger than the male pig or whatever the case.
Right.
It sometimes just doesn't work out. So you can just
do it artificially and okay.
So it's not bad. And
something else that I know, especially with foreign entities, is that they are buying all this agricultural land, and some of them are putting solar panels on it.
Yeah.
I know, your brother and...
This started back in 2020.
Yeah, and so many others like him. They're fighting to ensure this doesn't happen to the farmlands that are around them. But there's only so much they can do. They can go to the city council meetings. They can protest. They can, get signatures. But
yeah. But look at, like, how many people that we drive past. Because that's what happened. Like, my brother literally just finished building his house. And his land is beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so peaceful.
It's really nice because then he's a little bit higher up, so he gets a perfect view of everything.
Of the field and the trees. Yeah, because he's up on that hill. So it looks amazing. And then literally, like, they had just finished building and they're like, we're going to put solar panels surrounding them. Yeah, like
completely surrounding.
Hundreds of acres.
Yeah, the house.
But like I was going to say, like, look at how many people's houses that we pass going out to my brother's house. It's almost rare that you don't see
no solar panel signs.
Yep. Nobody wants it.
Oh no, nobody does. It's
people back in the city who don't care about that land out there, who probably don't live there, and they either live in Indianapolis. Yeah, they live in Indianapolis. They live in surrounding states, big cities. They don't care.
Yeah.
So they don't have to look at it every day. Their water's not going to be toxic.
Right.
Their air.
Yeah, so I mean, you start talking about that. Let's go ahead and talk about, what happens when a company puts these solar panels onto the agricultural land. So they usually lease this land for 4 to 5 years. Sometimes it can be as much as 30 to 35, depending on operational flow. But this is potentially catastrophic to the land. So the thought...
I hate that they say they lease it, because once it's done...
Right. The thought is that the land can be converted from solar back into farmland after an operation is complete. But that is never guaranteed. Sure, the company can bring the panels to a landfill after they're done, but you got to think what's left of the soil and ground that they were on. Yeah,
so let's take a trip back to history here. So I was reading a book. I honestly can't remember the name of it, but it was talking about the Dust Bowl and how back then we didn't know that you had to rotate crop, and they were just like murdering the topsoil. And that's what it was so dry. So on top of also a drought, but also not rotating crop, and that's how you ruin your topsoil. They had to come in. People from, I want to say Chicago, like the Midwest, came to Oklahoma and Texas and all these states out here and retaught them how to farm, because they were destroying the topsoil by not rotating crop. And that's exactly what happens when you put the solar panels in, because you have to take the topsoil away, and then it's basically not usable.
Yeah, so looking into this, talking to Sierra's brother, we've learned a little bit. So there's toxic chemicals in every solar panel and the batteries that they use to store this energy. And over time, maybe due to age or damage, these chemicals can leak out. They can leak into the soil, and these are known as a forever chemical, because once it leaks into the soil, it is nearly impossible to remove without removing the soil itself.
But he didn't say, that would happen over time. They made it kind of sound like it was going to be pretty much, right away. Because they were worried about their water, immediately.
Yeah, I mean...
Because they were on a well out there,
Right. Nobody wants anything bad to happen. It's like, we were just talking before we started recording that Jackson is going through a terrible water issue right now where nobody can get water. So nobody wants to have their water, contaminated. But it's likely that it could take decades of clearing land, adding fertilizer, lime, grading, and correcting poor drainage for the land to become highly productive and fertile again. So that's why, these solar panels are so destructive to agricultural land. Because, yes, can they potentially be refarmed? Yes, but it could take decades before that.
Like millions of dollars.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's definitely not cheap. You're using large equipment, a lot of gas, a lot of manpower. And
then that's what the problem is. Like, people hear, oh, solar panels.
Right.
That sounds so green. Well, no, that's right back to greenwashing because you're really doing more harm than good.
Yeah, if you want solar, put it on your roof.
Yeah, and if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah.
If we're still producing enough food and how we're getting our energy now, I know it's not the greatest, but if it's not completely broken, don't fix it. Or like you said, put it on your roof. Put it on these damn factories that they're popping up everywhere.
Yeah, they could. I mean, that's great, actually. They're producing these factories. These factories are massive, million square feet factories. If you put the solar panels on top of all these roofs, you wouldn't need to put it in the agricultural ground.
Yep. And if they really wanted solar panels that bad, why don't they offer it to everyone else? Say, here, put solar panels on your roof. This one will run your house. This one will run whatever else we want it to.
Yeah. I mean, that is a whole nother story. I have seen things where it is free for a lot of residents, but a lot of people think it's too expensive. The honest truth is that people really don't research it. They just automatically think, oh, this is way too expensive, not, oh shit, this is a tax write-off, or this could potentially be free. So if you're interested, just look into it.
Yeah.
I thought something else to note that your brother had mentioned was that what if there's a fire with these solar panel fields? It is likely to ruin everything because in these smaller counties where these solar panel fields usually are, they usually don't have a fire department large enough to contain or put out a huge acreage land fire like that.
Yeah. And he said, too, there were some instances where it gets so hot above the solar panels. He's like, you can, see it,
Yeah.
And he's like, it would, cook birds.
That's crazy.
Yeah. If they flew too low, instant cookage. All right.
Yeah, let's get into it.
So we've talked about the factual data that we have in front of us, but let's get into some conspiracies. Still don't like that word. Still don't think they're conspiracies.
Say what you will.
Yeah. All right. But there are a lot of conspiracies, but we really just want to play around with this and shoot out some thoughts and ideas that we have behind all of this.
Yeah.
Kind of lighthearted, not anything serious.
Mm-hmm.
But all right. One of the ones that I like to talk about is the foreign entities that are going to try and limit or even control the food production that the U.S. has. They could make demands, weaken the population, and, do a heck of a lot more than that. And another one is that if there is going to be a food shortage, whether this is a controlled shortage due to foreign buy-up or a shortage due to decreasing agriculture land and increasing population.
Yeah, so this one almost isn't a conspiracy. This is likely going to happen.
Yeah.
And that, honestly, it's all these conspiracies could be scary, but this is the scariest, I think. Because when there's a limit to food, when you're preventing people
get crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
You thought people were crazy in 2021 with 2020 with COVID?
Yep.
People were going crazy about that. Wait till you tell them they can't have access to all this food and their rations are limited.
I know. Hey, purge is coming next.
Yeah.
We got to decrease the population.
Seriously. Gosh, can you imagine Alaric? He'll lose it. You're taking away my food.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Something else that is worrisome is the current average age of a farmer is roughly 58 years old. So when you look at this, no one else is becoming farmers. Especially, if you are becoming a farmer, it's because it's in your family.
Yeah, and even then, people...
They don't want to do it. But it's and I think that's, even if it is in the family, say, Eric is going to pass it down to my nephew. And maybe my nephew's I don't want to do that. I want to do something else. but it's because it's a lot of, like, it is a 24/7, 7 days a week job. Like, you don't get rest days. Animals have to be fed. Crops have to be harvested, planted.
It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah. Things, I mean, I remember riding in the tractor with my dad, and all the time, like, we would get stuck. Something would break. You'd have to fix it. So you're taking all that time out of your day to fix it, get your parts in, all that. So it's a lot of hard work, and it takes a lot of hours. So you really have to, like, love it.
Yeah. And so there are a lot of large farms out there that are making a lot of money, but, you know, believe it or not, the average farm owner, he usually only grosses about $50,000 a year. So that's not a lot of money.
And especially if you break that up into, like, how many hours you're putting in.
Oh, yeah, because you're working more than 40 hours a week. Probably working double that.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Like I said, you're working 7 days a week, and it could be 24/7. Like, let the cows get out. Anything happens.
Yeah. And then you talked about, you know, the families with generational farmers, but if their sons or daughters don't want to run the farm, own this land, who are they going to sell it to? Who's going to try to buy it?
Yep, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But then, like, so you grew up in the city, right? And a lot of your none of your friends were farmers. So, but it's like...
No, none of my friends were farmers, babe.
And none of their family. So it's like, but like nobody like that is like, so your dad at work is an engineer and your mom works at, the hospital staff, and they're like, I'm going to go be a farmer. Like, that just doesn't happen.
No, it really doesn't.
So
I mean...
It basically has to be like...
Yeah, you either have to have a passion for it or grow up with it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult. Okay, so here it is. You know I joke about this one all the time, but I guess this really could happen. And with China owning so much land, what if they're building, like bases or other operational facilities throughout the U.S., and they're planning a Red Dawn scenario?
This scares the shit out of me.
So I was looking this up, and I think this could totally be plausible because
for sure.
If they plan this right, they could hold certain areas without retaliation from U.S. government due to potential high civilian casualties. They could strike other areas through their remaining military powers. If you didn't know, China has nearly twice as many active duty military personnel compared to the U.S. So that just blew my mind. When you see China owning almost 200,000 acres of land across the entire United States, and then the fact that they have double the active military size that the U.S. does.
Yeah, so like, what if they buy this land, right? And then they build factories, like giant, massive warehouses. Mm-hmm. And then they do a Red Dawn situation, and they capture us. And then it's like a Holocaust situation, and they put us
camps, and
they turn those warehouses into prisons, and China just takes over the world. Like, it sounds funny, and it could be any country really.
Right.
We're not just like singling out China or something, but like that could seriously happen. It sounds laughable, but it's not that far fetched if you really think about it.
No,
I mean that's what they. What do I always say? Predictive programming.
Yep.
Why do they have these movies?
Yeah.
And why do they show us this stuff? And I think I was taught too much information in the military. Like, you wonder why I'm so paranoid, and I have all these theories because we were. It's just I can't talk about it, but.
Oh yeah, it could be a very scary scenario.
But that's like why I have a ready pack, just in case.
Yeah.
I call it we have called it my Red Dawn pack, but it's scary. I mean, even my brother, he's like, I have a plan. Like, he knows where he's going.
And that's all he's ever said too. It's like, if I brought it up or anything, I've got a plan.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I know like where he would go, that's where we'd go too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You dang right.
That would be beneficial though, of having a camper, is you could immediately go.
Yeah. Exactly. So
I'm going to Newman's Castle.
True. But yeah, so like when we have our RV and stuff.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, we'll have to tell your parents and your family where we're at, and everyone's gonna live in the camper with us, and we're gonna go where Eric knows he's going, and yep, we'll hide out
Bring
there.
the guns and ammo. We'll meet you here.
Yep. Don't worry. We've got the arsenal. So.
Yep.
All right. So this one, I brought this conspiracy theory up to you too, because I don't think it's a conspiracy theory, but so it was reported that 10,000 cattle died because of record heat on the farm, but the neighboring farm had no cattle loss.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah. So this is Texas.
Yeah.
And so the rancher said, this is Texas, and cattle are well adapted to heat, but we had much hotter days on record in summers past with 0 loss of life.
Yeah.
So again, I just find it super ironic. And then also too, like all those food factories that were burning down.
I was going to say that. Yeah. So, I mean, that's crazy too. You had all these
7, right?
At least.
Yeah.
Major food manufacturing facilities.
Yeah. And then the formula shortage.
Mm-hmm.
So the
predictive programming. Yeah. Already prepping you.
Uh-huh. So the food manufacturing caught on fire.
Yep.
Formula shortage.
Yep.
And now all of these cattle are mysteriously dying.
Yeah, I mean, so a bunch of farmers from all over the country chimed in on this, and they all said that something was not normal.
Yeah, that just doesn't happen.
No.
You don't just walk outside and your whole damn, ranch is dead.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen. Especially, like, all at once.
Yeah, I was going to say, that was just like the movie we watched, Dark Water, I think it was, where...
The DuPont?
Yeah, the DuPont plant, and what's the coating that they use?
Teflon?
Teflon, yep. The Teflon, they were developing this chemical, anti-stick, put it on all their pans.
It was causing everyone to have cancer.
It was, super toxic. It was killing people.
Because it was in their water.
Yep. I mean, DuPont did a great job at hiding it, and, it took one guy, I don't know how many years to actually finally, go in and dig all of this up, and
but it wasn't, so the farmer that came to him, it wasn't like all of his cattle just dropped dead in one day.
No, but a lot
like,
of them did.
It was every single day he would have like chunks, numbers, and he had remaining ones, but they looked terrible.
Yeah, and it's so like they went crazy, and he had to put it down. Yep. Yeah, it was just ridiculous. But yeah, I guess there's been a lot of cases where they've had a large number of cattle deaths overnight that are completely out of the norm, and this is pretty concerning. Yeah. Because is it natural, or is it government controlled? Maybe even foreign caused?
Both.
Yeah, I
don't trust our government.
It's scary.
Yes, it is. It's terrifying. And I mean, honestly, everything that we talk about just like makes me want to homestead so bad.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying too. It's like, if it does get to this point where there's food shortages, there's lab grown food, it's like, you're not going to have access to fresh, natural stuff unless you're growing it yourself.
Yeah. Well, and then you have to get, if you don't already have it, you're going to have to get seed and make sure your soil's good, because then what if they come around and inject crap into your soil, and then your soil goes bad, and then boom, now you can't grow stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so, there's a lot of conspiracy behind all this. I'd like to try and find the good in it, like the solar panels. Could they do good? Yeah, they could do great, but you have to limit the amount of land, the type of land that you're using. Like if you are going to use solar panels, don't put it on agricultural land, put it on a developmental land.
Yeah. But then like kind of back to like even the electric cars.
Uh-huh.
So like there was this one snowstorm, was it in Virginia this year? That really bad snowstorm where people were stuck for hours.
Okay.
And they were like, what if all of these cars were electric cars and they ran out of battery? Like, you're gonna freeze to death. So
yeah, same thing could happen with a gas vehicle though.
But that's what I'm saying, like it's like eventually if things break and that's all we rely on and we don't have a backup, we're gonna be screwed.
Yeah, it's crappy to say, but yes, this is a likely scenario moving forward. So Elon Musk, I like the guy a lot.
I trust him. Yeah,
his Tesla product, battery, everything, it's all open source. He did not like patent any of it because he wants other people to take this information, try to develop better electric cars, better batteries, everything, so that we can decrease the climate change, the other earthly issues that come from burning fossil fuels, everything like that. But like you said, if we do go full electric, what do we have to back us up? And
honestly, how do we know that solar panels don't affect the ozone layer just as bad as other pollutions?
And honestly, there's probably not enough used and not enough research done to see, because I mean, at that point, it doesn't put off any, like toxic fumes, toxic chemicals that.
But how does it not? If the parts are, contaminated, if the batteries that they have, you said it at the beginning.
So that all contains chemicals, but that doesn't leak into the air, right? Those are liquid chemical, right? So that they can leak into the ground, but it's not going to leak into the air.
How does it not leak into the air? Don't you remember the circulation? What is that called? Like condensation?
Yeah, I know what you're saying,
So
but
how does that not recirculate?
you're saying like the creation of rain?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it could, but again, I
think they all know what they're doing, and I think they know because AI is so big. I think it's bigger than what we know.
It's gonna be even bigger.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. I think it's bigger than what we currently know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they already know. I think that they can test something. It's going to show exactly how it's going to react to whatever they want to test it on, and I think they know exactly how the future of the world is going to pan out. But they're doing it anyways because it's going to make them money, and that's how it's a circuit. It's a circle. They do this, it's going to make them more money. Then when this breaks, screws everything up, they have another backup to start that cleanup crew. Basically, that's going to make them money. Then that's going to ruin something. It's just going to be a cycle. And honestly, I like Saudi Arabia's idea of that wall.
Really?
Yep.
Gosh. I mean, that could be a whole nother thing, but so if you didn't know, Saudi Arabia is planning on constructing this, I don't know how many mile long wall, and it's just going to be buildings from top to bottom. And I mean, people are going to live here, all your developments are going to be here, all your stores are going to be here. So instead of expanding, outward on all this land, they're expanding upward. So this is going to be an interesting concept. I'm pretty sure they're I guess they might not be the first ones. I've seen some crazy stuff in China, Japan, but like this is going to be on a whole nother scale. So this is going to be really interesting to see how it pans out. But I think it could lead into a certain class or hierarchy structure.
I'm sure that it will.
Kind of like
Saudi already, but
Snowpiercer, where you've got the people on the bottom, they're getting the scraps. They're being fed cockroaches while everybody up top is sitting pretty.
That was such a traumatizing movie.
I mean, I think that's what could come out of that.
Yeah. Well, and how do we know that the factory-made food isn't going to be freaking cockroaches too? They can doctor it up to look like anything. You know
that there's already like cockroaches and feces and everything in our food. You know that plants, the FDA allows.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, they allow
trace
a certain.
Amounts. Yep, I know.
Yeah,
it's stupid.
Yep.
But like on Snowpiercer, they were like legit just mashing it up. Yeah. Like it was 100% cockroach.
That was their protein bar or whatever that they got.
They got one goo bar a day.
Ugh.
Disgusting.
Yeah. So again, there is a lot going on here. There's a lot of facts about land purchases, ownership, but there's also a lot of corruption. There's a lot of miscalculation. So we really probably don't know who owns this land.
The whole world is a conspiracy.
Yeah. New World Order.
Pretty much.
So if you think about who owns how much land, then you might start to ask the question, why or for what purpose? Could it really be just a good investment? Or is there alternative motive behind the ownerships, and should we as a nation be worried about it?
I think we should be.
Of course you do. You never see anything for what it is, which isn't a bad thing.
I do see things for what they are.
No, like you don't see things for what you're told.
Oh, heck no.
Like you said, when we were sitting down at dinner and Aaron said, do you believe anything? No.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
My favorite thing is, well, like when Aaron says, well, he did this. Well, were you there?
Yeah.
They said this. Well, were you there?
You and Aaron could probably go at it for a while.
We could, but yeah.
Yeah. So, if you have any conspiracy theories that you find interesting, you might want us to talk about, please don't hesitate to reach out to us again. This was one given to me by one of my buddies. He just, went all out, gave us some subtopics, little notes on everything, which is great. We love that. We obviously, go in and do some additional research behind that. But if you are interested in doing that, feel free to reach out. You can message us on our Facebook page or on our Instagram at ACS Entertainment LLC. Make sure you click that link in our bio. You can listen to all of our available episodes and find those great earthly products. We thank everyone for joining us, and make sure you tune in next week for another new episode of He Said, She Said.